Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much. Welcome to day 3 of the Red Hot Audience Boot Camp. I am so excited. We are really going to get into it today. And if you've been following along with day 1 and day 2, then you have your niche down. And now that yesterday, I hope the messaging day showed you how important it is to be really clear about what that niche is and who it is and what kind of stage they are in their business and what they want, so that you can really create messaging that's powerful and impactful and gets them to take action, because that's what we need, right? The action, as they say, action takers are money makers, right? But like, if you're an action taker, you're a money maker, and so are they. So let's see. Today we're going to be talking about content, and I love this topic because it's something that we do all the time. It's something that we have to do. It's something that you have to do as a business owner, right? Especially if you have an online business. It's something that's non-negotiable. And I hear all the time where people are like, oh God, I wish I didn't have to create content. I can't wait for the day that I don't have to create content. And that the truth of it is that it's something that you're going to have to do. If you want a long-term business, it's something that you're going to have to do and get really good at. The sooner you get really great at it and you get more proficient at it, you get more practice, which makes you more comfortable. You figure out what's working, what's not working, then that's the quicker that you're going to be successful. But also, you know, if you look at content as a long-term game and you're looking at your business as something that you want to still be doing in some way, shape, or form in 10 years, 20 years from now, like, I think sometimes when I say that, it freaks people out a little bit, because you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I could be talking about this thing for 20 years, right? But like, the truth of it is, you don't have to be selling the same thing that you're selling right now. You don't even have to be working with the same niche. You can change that anytime that you want. You follow the process I'm teaching you this week, and you can pivot your business any single time you want to, or narrow it down or expand it or whatever. But the whole point is that if you're going to have an online business 20 years from now that gives you this flexibility and the freedom to not have to sit at a cubicle all the time, or not have to be stuck at your computer and your desk all day, even if you're a remote worker, right? And you can work from anywhere in the world, or have the freedom to hire people to do the things that you don't want to do, then you better get great at content now. And I it's a constant audience. Like, the reason I named this the Red Hot Audience is that it is a constant job for you to create your audience and expand your audience. You constantly want to be working on expanding your audience, you're expanding your presence online, and making sure that they are an audience full of the right people, so that you have a great base of people to constantly be selling to. Because the truth is, people who interact with your content are not going to be always the people who end up buying from you. As long as you are producing great content, you can have people who are lurking in the shadows, who reach out from you from the sides, reach out to you in the DMs, who come out of the blue all the time, ready to pay you, ready to join your offer. And to be honest, that's when it most happens. Now, that's not to say that the people who interact with your content are never going to buy from you anyway. I think it's a great belief to have. And by the way, you get, and we'll talk about this tomorrow with the energetics and the mindset, you get to create whatever beliefs that you want to have about business and about how it's going to work for you. And so if you want to believe that every single person who comes into your world will eventually be a client of yours, then that's what it's going to turn out to be. So like, even on these, when I record these types of events, I used to show up, because this is content too, right? Like, this is major content that I'm creating this week. Like, just this video series in itself, some people look at it and they're like, am I giving away too much value? And I don't think you ever can, because I could turn around and take this 4-day series and create a bundle out of it and sell it and make thousands of dollars. Most likely, that's what's going to happen, right? Where it becomes something that goes on my website for passive income, and I have a funnel that goes into it, super easy, just not any different than the funnel you guys had today, just to sign up for free. I just add a pay button there, and then boom, the work's already done. You see how genius this can be. This is also a great way to create content that is repurposable, right? I could rip the audio from all of these events and turn it into a podcast episode for my podcast. And a lot of times that's what I do. So when you think of content, it's not just posts, it's not just like your videos that you put on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook. Like, this is going to be any type of time where you're interacting and creating something that's long lasting, that where people look at it and they get a sense of what you're like. And like in dating, people make a decision in half a second, right? So you want to make like this, like I see business online a lot like dating, right? You find clients online that you're like, no, not even going there, right? Like, there's some people who send you that request and you're like, I know I really want a lot of followers, but this is over the line. You know what I mean? Everybody's been there. Drop me a yes in the chat and you're like, I'm not even gonna go there. But then there's other people who you're like, damn, I would love to work with you. I would love to have you as my client. And it's a dating thing, right? You're feeling it out. You're creating boundaries in your business, and you're also deciding what you stand for and what you're willing to say publicly. You know what it's like in dating when you're like newly single and you're afraid nobody's going to go out to you because you were just dumped. Like, I've been there before. We're like, I'll say anything to get a date, right? And then you get on the date, you're like, why the fuck did I just say anything to get on this date? Like, this is ridiculous. You know what I mean? And so you're like, maybe I should have had better standards. So the next time you have better standards. Same thing happens in business, and we do it with our content. That's where you get the way to showcase what you stand for, what you deliver. And I see it as not just about what you're saying to get somebody to sign up with you or to get somebody in your DMs. You're putting yourself out there so that people accept you 100%. And people accept your personality and the way you are and your special flair. And the more you show your personality, the more that you show the way that you are and what you stand for, you're going to attract your right fit people, right? Who are like, holy crap, this is so great. I've never met anybody just like you. You say things so differently than what that person did, and it landed, right? And even in all of you guys' businesses, and personally that you do things differently than anybody else out there. And so how can you showcase that more in your content and show that like unicorn that's inside of you, right? So I'm going to go ahead. I'm teaching you a lot of the strategy today, but also I want to go like, I'd be failing you if I didn't say these types of things, right? Like, be consistent, show up. It's the only way to get great at it. And that brings me to, wait, where did my Zoom go? Zoom always I'm like, where's the share screen? I swear they move it on me just to see. And then they put a nanny cam just to see if, like, is Cassie going to find it today? Okay. All righty. So let's go. This is what a lot of people miss out on. And that's why I wanted to start my little slideshow here. Your content is not just your posts. It's your bio, it's your picture, it's your headline, your about section, your posts and your videos, but also the comments you leave for people and your DMs. And this is just a start, right? Anything that you put online is your content. And in my opinion, if you're putting something online, it better make it look like you're an authority. And that's why just down here with these comments and with the DMs, like, people think your content is just the daily post you put on. When I say content, so 99% of the people, they're like, yeah, I get one chance a day because the algorithm only wants you to post once, or LinkedIn says you can't post but every 4 hours. So I guess I could put 4 pieces of content up per day, right? And that's BS, because your comments, just the comments you leave for other people, if you do it the right way, if you showcase your authority, if you're putting value into there, that's a mini piece of content. And if you have a list of like 20 ideal clients that you interact with all day long, think about just one of them and you leave a content for them. It goes out, you're now immediately visible to their network too. Anybody who, I don't know, sometimes the algorithm shows so-and-so commented this on their page, right? Like, or other people who go to, like, say there's a person that you interact with that has like 100 comments on their post all the damn time, right? If you're putting a thought-provoking comment on there that gets people to see you as an authority, then you have the potential to have 100, 200, 300 eyeballs on you, right? And you do that every day, and you can't help but get noticed. People start to notice you. And when you have all the rest of this stuff locked tight, so people are like, hey, what's that Dennis guy about? Like, he just wrote something really cool about social proof. I want to go check out his profile. Then they go to your profile and they're like, wow, I really like this vibe. And if you are showing your personality in this about section, then people know you're not just the same old Joe Schmo that's just making videos on the side, right? Like, they know that you're the person to go to that's going to help them stand out. And guess what? Like, when you're posting content, when you're putting the things in the about section about how it's going to help them achieve their goals, that also requires you to understand them, right? And it requires you to know your messaging. It requires you to know your niche. So I want you to really think about the fact that, take the 20,000 foot view on what content actually is, because this is such a huge way to start getting inbound leads, right? And it's such a huge way to start getting word of mouth too. I've honestly only been seriously focused on LinkedIn for about 2 months now. Like, my husband was away. I'm just trying to think. It was like, let's just say 2.5. And I get tagged all the time by people I've never met or sat down with, right? But it's because I'm super active. And to be honest, the last couple of weeks, or 3 weeks, I haven't been as active in the comments as I was. And when I say active, I don't mean I'm on it all day. I have a specific time that I go on to make my content, per day. And then I check in with, periodically if I have a moment, but it's definitely not me sitting here at my computer going, I wonder if anybody's replied yet, I mean, at all. That's not it, right? So you want to think, though, about being strategic around this. And I'm going to teach you a couple ways today that I want you to frame it so that you can get the best return on the time that you're spending creating content, because it really comes down to your audience, knowing your audience, and also being open to the availability that people you don't know about can be in your audience and can buy from you today, and they can become a great lead today. The analogy I love to use is, because drop me a yes in the chat if you have put a post on LinkedIn or Instagram or Insta story, and then afterwards you've gone and you've like looked at how many views you got, or you looked at how much engagement you got, and you're like, damn, that was a really great post, but only like 100 people saw it, right? Now, and then you've thought, well, crap, now I've got like maybe better luck next time, right? But here's the thing, like, if that's the way you're thinking, that, oh my God, nobody's going to buy from me because only this amount of people saw this thing where I was talking about my offer, it's kind of like being at the grocery store and be shopping for milk and saying that if I'm shopping for milk here and I'm aware of the people shopping for milk around me, then that means that there's nobody buying a banana right now. There's nobody shopping for plantains in Spain right now because I'm buying milk in Russia. Like, it's crazy when you think about it that way, right? But like, seriously, that's the way online sales works. Somebody can be buying bananas in Spain while you are aware of the people buying milk in front of you, and they can buy your offer that moment, right? Your offer can sell. All you need is one person to buy it for you to make a sale. You don't need 1,000 people to buy it all at once. But guess what? When you start to be available for that first person buying it, then it turns into 2 and 4 and 8 and 16 and so on. Okay. So think about, how is your authority being positioned? Because there's 3 realms of your audience. And I just touched on this a little bit, and I'm going to actually save the conversation about the 3 realms for tomorrow for our talk on mindset and energetics with sales, which, by the way, is going to be so freaking incredible. I'm going to be doing a special energetic technique, like an energy healing technique, and an NLP technique that's going to help you reach your goals in a specific amount of time and open up the flow of abundance. And I can't wait to share that with you. So make sure you're here, especially live. But here with your audience, you want to focus, like you want to ask yourself, when you've been writing content, what's been your focus, right? Has your focus been on growing your audience and growing your following, or on making sales? Because those are two completely different things. If you're focused on growing your audience, then you are going to create content that everybody likes, that you get, that isn't really focused on like maybe like how-to tips and things like that, where you become like the go-to for that. But if you're focused on making sales, then you need to add a little bit of a different flair into the content that you're creating. And I'm about to show you what that is. But also the other trip up that I see people do is creating content to prove the haters wrong, instead of embracing the fact that you might have attracted a hater because you triggered somebody and made them think, or just creating it for the lovers, right? The people who love what you're saying, and being afraid of saying something polarizing because you don't want to piss anybody off. When if you don't stand for something, then you're going to stand for nothing, right? So for example, if you're selling video tutorials, right? Or then you might, so if somebody's selling like video tutorials, like how to create a tutorial for your business or your YouTube, then you might go out and say, listen, these step-by-step blogs are total BS for your business. Nobody looks at them anymore. If you're still creating that stuff, you're losing out on customers. But somebody might be afraid to create something that polarizing because they don't want to tick off the blog posting, fanatics, right? But the thing is, in order to attract your ideal client, like maybe your ideal client says the same thing. Maybe they're like, blog posts are boring as hell, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do something that's more impactful, that's more like modern, that's more, like attracting, like magnetic, right? Like more attractive. Does that make sense? So versus trying to people please everybody and saying, well, you can do one or you can do the other. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Drop me a yes in the chat if you're tracking with that. I'm a poet and I knew it. Okay. So like we talked about yesterday, you need to be talking in your content to the right person with the right message and the right frequency. I love it, guys. So, we talked about the right person and we talked about the right message. So brings up the question of what's the right frequency? Now, I get this question all the time. How often should I be posting on LinkedIn? How often should I be posting on social media? And my answer is always the same. I feel like if you are newly starting out and you're not posting every day or active every day, then you're totally missing out. Is it necessary? It might not be, as long as you're consistent with when you do show up, and you don't show up 5 days 1 week and then you take off for 2 weeks and then you come back and do like a couple days here and a couple days there, and nobody knows when you're going to show up. So then nobody shows up, right? You don't want to be the flaky friend, right? But you want to make sure you're consistent. And to me, especially if you're first starting out, or if you're making that first 100K, you want to be reliable. You want to be trustworthy. And I don't just mean for everybody else. And this is kind of a mindset hack here too. You want to show yourself that you can trust yourself to show up no matter what. That's as big as anything, because if you know that you can show up for yourself, and you know that you're going to be consistent, even if the results are not right in front of you right away, then you're going to trust yourself to be there a month or 2 months or 3 months, because there's nothing worse than being 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Right? If you feel like you're 1 foot in and 1 foot out, yes, consistency builds trust. Exactly. Now, if you're 1 foot in and 1 foot out all the time, mentally, your brain's going to be there too, right? Subconsciously, you're going to be telling yourself, well, this is just for now. When really maybe you can reframe it and say something like, well, maybe I'm just confused about what to do, need more clarity about what to do, and then take the action to get the clarity, because that's what's going to bring it for you. Okay. So, but what's the right frequency? I know I got off on a little bit of tangent there, but what the right frequency is consistency, right? I think your job as a CEO of your company, that you need to be showing up every day. You need to be selling every day. You owe it to your audience to be showing up, selling your product every single day because of that ripple effect, right? There's people who need you who might be waiting for that next time they say, oh gosh, when I see Chastity post one more time, that's when I'm going to sign up for her program. And then what if you don't post that one more time? What if you think, it looks like nobody's paying attention. I think I'm just going to give up on this. And then that one more time was going to be the time where the snowball effect starts, right? You've all seen that little thing where there's like all these miners digging for the gold, and then they stop like right before the gold, and they're like, no, but just keep going. It's right there, right? A lot of times that's what's happening in your business too. Okay. So your authority. Okay. This is huge. So I can't impress on you enough to have a red hot audience. You need to be the leader. You need to be the authority. Your presence needs to be one of, I need to hire her. I need to hire him. No question about it, right? That you're firm in what you do. You're getting people to dream. You're showing them what's possible. They're aspiring to be or know what you know or be where you are. And this authority is what's going to get you out of the friend zone. I spent a lot of time as a manifestation coach in the friend zone. And what I mean by that is I spent a lot of time giving helpful manifestation tips and being everybody's best friend, but not nearly displaying the authority of who I was deep down, right? Now, even crazy enough, do you know that I didn't talk about my pharmaceutical sales experience for about 2.5 years of being a coach, even though I'd done it for 20 years? That is what you call a friend zone. Like, oh my God. Well, at least about sales, like not about money and manifestation and stuff like that. I finally got my shit together around that. But like when you think about all of these gifts that you have, what are you not bringing to the table right now, or not allowing? What side of you are you hiding from people, right? Like what is there that can make you stand apart from other people? And what accomplishments have you had? What awards have you won? What comes easily to you? Because oftentimes the thing that comes easiest to you, that's like, everybody must get this. Like, I think this is the easiest concept ever. It is a stretch for somebody to even wrap their head around it. That's what makes it your genius zone and not theirs. Okay. So when you are able to establish your authority on a topic and really get known for 3 or 4 certain areas that get about your main, your main niche, right? So I consider them like the get known factors. So if you have like 3 or 4 main get known factors that are like the categories of the thing that has to do with the niche that you serve and the person that you serve. So like, for example, I can't remember if I shared this here or in another presentation because I've been doing a lot over the last week, but like mine, for example, are attracting leads, selling skills, and then like the energetics and the mindset of sales. Because I believe you need all 3 of them to be successful at sales. And I'm even niching down further to not just be selling skills, but DM selling skills. Because I'm starting to feel like, I not just starting to feel, but I believe it's just as easy to close a sale in the DMs as it is on a sales call. And I actually believe it's easier. So I want to be able to teach everybody else that magic, right? So my content is all about that energy, mindset, confidence of sales, selling skills, especially DM selling skills, and like how to attract leads, aligned leads, right? You've probably noticed that. So think about, what are your 3 main areas underneath like the main umbrella of your niche and of like the type of person you serve. What are these 3 factors that you can really get known for? All right. Because when you start to focus all of your energy on providing authority-based content on these three areas, that's what's going to get you out of the friend zone. And this is what gets you that big sales energy. So the BSE, right? The big sales energy. Because when you're out of the friend zone, think about it. You know somebody who walks in a room and like owns the place, like knows it, right? And there's certain topics that you are like this about. So how when we want to give you that energy online about what you've chosen to sell and serve, your community about, this is where your authority lies. All right. Now, the authority, like I said, it's in your content, it's in your positioning, and it's in your messaging. And there's two types of content here that I want you guys to work on. All right. The two types of authority content are informational and storytelling. All right. Drop me a yes if you have a brand story that you often share. And I also want to know, when's the last time that you shared it? Okay. Yeah. Can't remember. Oh my God. I actually just put one on my LinkedIn last week. Okay. I love the honesty though, when you say, and I won't divulge your name. When you say, can't remember, listen, this is where your authority is. Your authority is in your story. Okay. I want you to think about your niche and I want you to think about your experience that you've had, either yourself or with clients you've worked with. And your homework, or actually, you could come up with one right here. These stories you want to be infusing constantly in your content. Like, think of me. I know at the beginning of this thing, I didn't introduce myself. I'm really bad. I'm so bad at introducing myself at the beginning of these presentations, but when I am starting out, like say on a podcast episode or even in my content, once a week, I have my Sunday confessional day, right? Where I say, hi, this is my story. It's a way for people to get to know me. And it's also a way for you to be reminded of my authority and how I got there. So I always say, and there's a couple of points that you might notice from here on out if you check out my Sunday confessional, and you can feel free to call me out on it every week. I'd love it. But I always say I was 22 years old in my first sales job with braces and a bad haircut, calling on people twice my age. So selling with authority wasn't an option for me. Being the expert was not an option. I literally looked 14 years old, and I have pictures of it here. And I think tomorrow I should share one of those pictures side by side. Maybe later today I will. But this is where I show you that, even despite that, this is where my relationship-based sales approach, this non-salesy sales approach, was created. And by using this approach and creating this selling style for myself, I closed over 22 million in sales in 2 years and went to President's Cup, which is the highest honor. It's a trip that they pay for you they basically pamper you to thank you for being such a great salesperson, right? So here I was still with braces, and I dressed like I wish I had a picture of what I wore to President's Cup compared to what everybody else did, but bygones, we won't bring that up. But yeah, that's my story. And so now I bring that magic, right? So within 2 years from winning President's Cup, I became a sales trainer. And so I trained over 1,000 other reps to become President's Cup winning reps too. Some of them went to President's Cup. All of them succeeded. It was where I began to love sales and sales training. And so bringing that magic now to coaches and consultants so that you can start to make sales and love making sales too, because you don't have to, it's proof that you don't have to be salesy. You don't have to do these like super pushy salesy tactics and I don't know, like follow what every guru says. You can do it your own way, by creating relationships, which, by the way, creates more loyal clients. And that's what I teach I teach my clients and in my mastermind. So that's what I'll talk about a lot when I promote my Sales Queen Mastermind. That's actually starting next month, right? Or later this month. I keep forgetting it's April. And so learning how to sell in the DMs in a non-salesy way, learning how to talk to clients and have non-salesy conversations. Like, it's a huge thing, especially now, and you'll see more and more people talking about it. So this story helps build that, it builds the basis and builds that foundation for you understanding a little more of where I'm coming from, what makes me capable of teaching this to you, how I learned these skills, how it shows the success that I got, and gets you to dream and say, damn, what if I could make, millions of sales too by following that same method, right? So what is the type of story that you can tell as well? What story can you tell that highlights where you've been, what you went through, what and where you are right now? And also you can use this. So a lot of educational content, for example, is like when you're giving the 4 brilliant ways to do XYZ, or 4 essential steps for ditching your 9 to 5. The other one of the ones I used once was like, that other coach isn't smarter or luckier than you. She's just better at doing these 3 things. So these are like hooks for content ideas. Which brings me to my next point. You want to make sure that you have a good blend of educational that highlight your expertise, your industry knowledge. I actually have I keep this, this is kind of like a daily suggestion for the type of content to put out every day. Just in case I'm sitting here creating content, I'm like, oh my gosh, what should be the theme today? Which a lot of times I'll batch it now, because I do a lot of live videos, or I do a lot of those videos now. But you want a good blend of your personal industry insights. You want to have the social proof. You want to be able to show people like testimonials or insights about how you drove certain results, or how your clients drove certain results. A lot of the ones that work really well for me are, my client came to me with this question. Here was the real problem. Here's what she wanted, and here's how I helped her get there. Right? It shows this repeatable process where you're telling the story and you're showing an example. So there's social proof there through that, through the experience that your client had. Or if you haven't had clients yet, you may have helped a friend or a family member with the exact thing that you're wanting to coach on now. So you could tell a story around that, and feel free to change the name too. Sometimes I'll do that, like even for my clients, because I don't want to out them. Some of them are like business coaches or sales coaches too, and they're like, I don't want people to think I sucked at what I did. You know what I mean? So just be respectful, and know that, if you're sharing somebody's name, make sure you have their approval first. So as long as the rest of the point or the rest of the story is true and real, right? So another thing that's really powerful from a storytelling standpoint, and I really feel like and I'm harping on the storytelling because I know you guys know how to do the educational, here's the tips to do this type of thing, but the storytelling is really going to sell faster and create your authority faster. All right. And here's why. You are creating that connection, and you're getting people through a story to feel a certain way. And so when you're able to share, for instance, your business journey, how different, for example, was your business now versus a year ago, or even now versus 2 months ago? Well, and I say that as, well, I guess if you're a business coach, then that could apply, or something similar. But for example, before you were using video testimonials versus after you started using video testimonials, or even a story about that from your clients. There could be the struggle you had before you lost weight versus after you did, and how you felt before versus how you feel now, and what changed, what was that transformation, and why was it so special. Another, speaking of special, were or actually, let me go back to that point. So like if you're talking about your overall journey through like the transformation that you're promising for your clients, if you yourself went through that transformation, then make sure you're highlighting your biggest wins. Like look at the 20,000-foot view, and then you can zero in on one of the biggest wins there, and how it impacted your life, or how you got there, how you made that happen, right? And you don't have to give all the little steps in between. For example, I have there's a post that I put on recently that was like, here's how I made 15K in 5 days. And so I tell the story about how I had really struggled to sign one-on-one clients at one time. And I started implementing the energy healing techniques that I teach my clients. And so when I did that, almost instantly, it opened up this flow, and I signed 5 clients in 5 days and made $15,000. And I go into, well, I took this step and I took this step and I took this step. So without divulging all of the how inside all of the steps, I reveal the steps that I actually took, so that they know that, okay, if I follow this type of step too, then I can get, X result. And it gives them hope that by working with you, and it gives them that roadmap of what to expect with working with you, that even with those biggest, challenges, they can still achieve the bigger wins as well, right? So make sure you're highlighting, even in the storytelling, how you work with clients and why it's so special. Why is it so special to work with you? And what do your clients love most, And the way I like to serve up these stories is similar to, if you've ever like interviewed, let me take it off of this, stop sharing. Yeah. If you've ever interviewed for a job and used like behavioral based interviewing questions, a lot of times you have that, they tell you about the situation, and then the task and the action that you took, and then the overall result. It's similar to the way you want to structure these stories as well. Set up what the situation was. Tell them what you decided to do. What tactic did you decide to take? And then what were the actions under that tactic, and then the result. Showing what actions you're taking and how you were feeling through taking them is going to help the reader really get involved in the story too. And it creates an additional bond, right? Like if you know somebody's story, you're kind of like, oh my God, that's cool. Like I know what you've been through, and I feel like emotionally connected to you. And not in like I'm going to hook you and make you, emotionally connected to me, but more of like okay, I get you. I think I could vibe with you. I think it'd be fun to work together because I know a little bit around what your ways are, versus me saying, here's how I made 15K in 5 days. I hustled my balls off, and I emailed like 200 people every single day, and I got one person to respond, and then I forced them to sign up for my one-on-one coaching through these pushy sales methods. Like you'd be like, oh hell, I don't want to work with her. Like that's crap, but somebody else might hear that story and be like, yes, that's how I want to be too. So that's why, even through the storytelling, this is how you're going to attract people who are really aligned to you and who like the way you do things, because you're able to show your industry knowledge and also show your style. So it builds that connection and starts building the relationship first, so that when they hop into your DMs, they're already warmed up. This is where the hot audience comes from. It's this type of content that really builds your hot audience, because the hotness is in getting to know somebody, right? It's just like dating. It's just like dating, where you're getting to know somebody so well that you're like, yeah, I want to spend more time with you. I want to hear more stories. I think these are hilarious. And if you think about it, as humans, we love hearing a good story, right? Why else do we watch like reality TV, right? Why else do we, like the certain things you're drawn to naturally are a good story. Okay. So it's way more interesting when you're reading that type of content where versus, a big long paragraph about why, email sales is so great, So when I say you need a blend of educational and authoritative content, make sure when you're doing the educational content that you're keeping it to the point. And I would recommend, like the goal here is keeping people engaged when they see your content, hooking them in, making them want to read it, and keeping them engaged long enough to get to the bottom and then be like, I want more. All right. Now, I personally don't like having to read paragraphs and paragraphs that are big chunks. Some people might. I'm not the type of person. I like to be able to have easily digestible, like one tip at a time, that's got one theme at a time, that I can be like, oh yeah, that's a great reminder. I should start to implement that into here. And I'm going to follow more of her stuff because this is really good. It's not overwhelming. It's not confusing. Because remember, confused people don't buy. If people don't know what they're getting from you, or they don't know the point of the post, or they don't know what action to take, which brings me to my final point here about content. If they don't know what action to take, they're not going to take action. And if they're confused about the action to take, then they're going to get the hell out of Dodge as fast as possible. So make sure with your call to action, which I know we talked about yesterday in the messaging, take that messaging, take that framework that I gave you, and make sure that at the end of all of your posts, or at the end of your content, that you are putting in a call to action. You're telling them what action to take. Now, this does not have to always be, if you want to, attract ideal clients into your coaching programs and, start signing clients in the DMs and start loving sales, then, the Sales Queen Takeover is for you. So DM me the word sales so that we can get you making sales in the DMs and loving sales too. Like, I don't put that on every single thing. But I might use a call to action that's like, especially on my Sunday confessionals, I say, hey, which one resonated with you most? Let me know. Like, that's a call to action. You're telling them to interact with you. Or I put the footer on the bottom that says, hey, I'm Cassie MacKenzie. Come follow me so you don't miss out on a thing. Hit the bell. That's telling them to take an action. Now, sometimes I break my rule and I put that at the bottom, and I put a call to action about my mastermind on there too, about signing up for the mastermind. I think that's okay if you're getting people to know you and building your following, but I try to make it so that they're pretty well spaced out, if that makes sense. Okay. So let's see. Let me know if you have any questions. Are there any questions from everybody here? Drop me a committed in the chat if you're committed to sharing your brand story at least once a week. Remember, you could share storytelling content every single day. And in every single comment, you could weave a little part of your story into it. Sometimes I do, where I'm like, oh yeah, I had a client who did XYZ and here's the result that they got. Sometimes in the comments, I do that if it's like something pertinent, or even for myself, right? Committed, the Sunday confessional. Yeah. And go ahead. You can like steal. I took it as like a play on words for like, like, I'm not Catholic, but one of my ex-husbands, God, I sound like I am supposed to be on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So one my ex-husband was Catholic, God rest his soul. So I had to go through Catholic church a lot, but I thought it was like a fun play on words with the Sunday confessional, teaching you like something. Usually it's something weird about me, or some topic that has to do with sales or business or traveling, or the lifestyle that you get from this freedom lifestyle. And so it gets your followers in a way, like, I look forward to it. I'm like, what kind of weird thing can I share today? And to be honest, sometimes I copy and paste one that I had from like 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I'll like change or tweak some of the stuff, but never. Also, this is a great point too, and I'm going to close out with this one. But don't be afraid to repurpose your content. I want you to start analyzing what's working for you and what's not working for you, and what could you do different. Start playing around with things like, do carousels work for you? Does a video every day get good interaction? Do you notice that more people end up in your DMs or following your like joining your like free events? Like for this one, I started putting it in the comment section, like the link to join, and my signups for this went up so much. Even just using LinkedIn versus using Instagram and my email list, my signups for this, and they still, like, people keep signing up every single day because I keep putting it in the footer, or like in the first comment every single day. So I've been playing around with different things too, and start to notice what works, and don't be afraid to reshare a piece of content that you've put up before and just share it again. You've got to start looking at it like there's always new people that are in your world, and you're creating your content for that one new person who's got their eyeballs on you that day, right? Because otherwise what happens is, and we can touch on this tomorrow, but what happens is you start to think that there's nobody left in my audience, or there's nobody left in my audience. Everybody's seen me already. Everybody knows. And it's not true, because people are busy in our what do you call it? Like, attention span. Oh my God, I could not have timed that better, right? Our attention spans tend to be like tend to be short. And so, like, squirrel, our attention spans tend to be short. So when you repeat yourself, you're just reinforcing it. So remember what I said about the 3 R's. And I'm going to go back to that real quick, because this is super important to remember. Let's see. I think it was right here. The right person and the right message and the right frequency. This is because there's busy people. It used to take 7 to 9 times for somebody to hear your message in order for them to actually hear it and notice it and think about taking action on it. Now I've heard it's up to 20 times with our attention spans and with social media. So you literally can never say your message too much. You can never be posting too much or selling too much. I can't tell you the number of times that I have talked about the Red Hot Audience boot camp on Facebook and in a group, and I even have it like, as I've probably mentioned it 100 times, and I have somebody saying, "Hey, didn't you name something like Red Hot recently? I think that's what your mastermind should be called." And I was like, yeah, I actually did." And wow, besides, like, that's a really great idea. But anyway, like, people are paying attention, but they're not paying as much attention as you are. And you're always going to have new people in your audience. So make it easy on yourself. If you have a really good, high performing piece of content, then make a note of what it is and share it again. Share it once a month. You could share it once a week. And I don't know if anybody would notice. Like, I start to notice when other people do it because I'm looking for it. But I don't, and even then, I don't even think I notice it, because you're constantly going to be talking about the same 3 types of ideas anyway, so that you can get known for them and become an expert. So I actually look at it like, especially when I was in pharmaceutical sales, we had one message to tell the same people every single week for weeks on end. Tell me that the message got old, but also, it took a billion times for a busy doctor to finally hear what I was saying. And so think about these people who don't know you very much and who might not see your content every day. It's really important to be consistent there around that too. So I think that was everything. Oh, there's where you get the wildfire factor. So closing out though, do you guys have any questions about anything that we covered today with regard to content? If you're in the Voxer group, feel free to like ask anything that you want, or share whatever you want me to look at and see, or brainstorm with me in there too. But you can drop this in there, any questions you might have. No, okay. And for those of you guys watching on the replay too, like I mentioned, my sales mastermind is opening. And so this is where we're going to be refining your DM sales strategy so that you can make it easier to reach out to people, so you can make it easier for inbound leads to come in and then to close sales in the DMs. I'm going to be there every step of the way, even there looking at your DMs, you sharing screenshots of conversations going on so that you can start to close more and move them out of that friend zone and into a zone where you actually get hired. There's a 30-day ramp up challenge within the mastermind to get inbound leads and start making sales, as well as you learn how to pre-sell your offers so that you can start making money on them before they're even created. I love all of these topics. So DM me the word sales if you are interested in more information. I can get it to you. If you're part of this live challenge this week, I have a special bonus where you get an extra month in the program. Plus, there's a special price. So right now, the price for this mastermind is $3,000. It's going up to $5,000, but it's going to be $3,000 for the 4 months. And if you join by the end, and I have a payment plan for it, but if you join by the end of this week, then you get an extra month in the program. So you get an extra month in through, yeah, so that would be 5 months. I almost said through February. I'm like, February is not right. What month is it anyway? And then also like an extra bonus for this is that we're going to have a messaging thread too. So you won't just have access to me during the calls. I'm also going to give you support throughout the week so that you can get real-time feedback on these conversations that you're having and you can close more sales, which will be magical. Like imagine by summertime, you've got all the sales that you want. Like I think that would be so freaking cool. So DM me the word sales or ask me about the mastermind if you have any questions or you want more information to join. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for energetics. It's going to be at 9:30 in the morning instead of 10 o'clock Eastern. It's going to be 9:30 Eastern. And I have some magic up my sleeves for you. So I can't wait to see you there. All right. Yay. Thank you. Bye, guys.